So I am getting this lucky opportunity to ride Harley-Davidson's most hated bike, which is the Street 750. The reason why I got the opportunity to ride this bike was because I actually got the chance to ride the Nightster 975, which is right there onto my left. And I wanted to compare whether or not this Revolution X engine is similar to the Revolution Max. So this is not going to be a full-on review, but more of an impression ride. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost.
Right off the bat, it actually sounds louder than the Nightster 975. It's because it's got the Streaming Eagle exhaust, and I think this is an upgraded air cleaner. It's got a nice windshield to it too, which isn't stock. Everything seems really compressed, like a very short handlebar. Let's go for a quick ride. Ooh, I can tell you, it is not a very comfortable riding ergonomics. It's actually kind of fun because it's so weird to ride. It almost feels like I'm on a scooter, like a Harley scooter. Whoa, it's got a really good lean angle though. I don't know too much about its specs because I wasn't really prepared to ride this motorcycle, but I'll list out the specs on the bottom of this video here. But yeah, I'm actually quite surprised and impressed by the lean angle of this motorcycle. It's very flickable, but something about it just doesn't feel right. Oh, the first gear is super slow. Let's see how this behaves on the city road and the highway. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm actually kind of impressed by its get up and go. Now this riding ergonomics is so awkward. Like this fuel tank is huge between the legs, and this whole flat surface here is kind of like a dish tray. I almost feel like I can eat something off of here like this. So far, nothing screams out as in this is a bad bike. It's just a little awkward for my size. I'm about 5'10", and I feel like I'm on a tiny ass bike. I wonder if this is what a Grom feels like. Yeah, maybe this is more like a Harley-Davidson Grom. Now, I believe Harley-Davidson made this motorcycle specifically for an entry-level bike and a training bike for their MSF courses. And I believe these are the only versions that were actually made in India. Not sure how popular they were in India, but in North America, this is probably one of the most hated Harley-Davidson motorcycles out there because of its awkwardness, because of its liquid cooled engine, and it doesn't know where it wants to be. But my motto for the channel is gotta ride them all. So if you give me the opportunity to ride a bike and give my impression, I 100% will do that for my viewers. And to be honest, I was actually kind of looking forward to getting my hands on this Street series, because regardless of how shitty the bike was received, it's actually not very easy to find them. Now, if you're looking for a cheap getaway Harley-Davidson emblem motorcycle, the Street series is definitely out there, where you can probably purchase one for like $5,000 US. So that's a pretty affordable bike. And if you're on a pinch and you're looking for a bike that just gets you from point A to point B, this bike can do that for you, I think. The suspension, it doesn't feel any worse than my Iron 883. So that's not bad for a $5,000 bike. There is a more higher end model called the Street Rod, which still has a 750cc engine just like this one, but it's got upgraded shocks and upgraded other things that makes it more rod worthy. Now the front brakes and the rear brakes aren't as good, and everything doesn't feel tightly put together. Let's see how the suspension is on the speed bumps. They seem okay, nothing to harp about. But yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Like, you see how I can move my clutch up and down like this? Here, I gotta stop here and then show it to you. First, let's see if I can find some neutral. There we go. See this? Look how wiggly it is. It's not tight at all. Like, everything's so loose. That part I don't like, because Harley is known to have tighter standards, you know? Tighter standards of quality assurance and quality control. And I feel like this misses that mark. But is it fair to say this is a bad bike? Well, I have a belief in riding that there are no such thing as bad motorcycles. A bad motorcycle is just a motorcycle that hasn't found its perfect rider. And I guarantee you that there is a perfect rider out there who would love this bike for the right price. And I'm telling you, man, the lean angle of this bike is pretty impressive, and I can throw this bike around pretty easily, just like the Nightster 975. Like, it's nimble, way more nimble than my Iron 883. Oh, of course it needs fuel. The throttle response on this bike is not too bad. It actually has pretty decent mid-range torque. I'm curious to see what this feels like on the highway. Now, the downside of the Street series is that because it was the first series of a liquid-cooled engine, it has a very, very quiet engine. And you can tell, even with the aftermarket exhaust, you can't hear the bike. It doesn't have the thunderous roar that Harley-Davidson is known for. And yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why Harley fans were pissed off with this bike, because it doesn't resemble anything Harley. But look at it just lean in. It's definitely better than expected. And I don't know, I have a soft spot for interesting rides, and this bike is definitely on the charts of a very interesting ride. The ergonomics of this ride is all weird. Everything's kind of bandaged together, it feels like, but the motor itself is actually not too shabby. So I'm a little afraid of how much fuel this bike has, so I'm gonna quickly drop by Barnes to get a little bit more fuel.
One eternity later.
If I'm being 100% honest, actually having a lot of fun on this bike. Okay, let's get on the highway, boys. Yeah, because this bike is so wonky, I'm having a lot of fun. Kind of wish I didn't have this dad bike windshield, but let's see how it performs on the highway, because this little 750cc engine is supposed to be faster than my Iron 883, which has higher displacement compared to this bike. Whoa. Okay, so it takes a bit of effort to, whoa, that's quite a bit of wobble. I almost got into a speed wobble there. It's probably the windshield, guaranteed. Gotta be a little careful on this bad boy. Last thing I want is a death wobble and then die on a street 750. Goodness. It's got 6-speed transmission though. This bike definitely needs it, because it took me up to 5th gear to get up to 100. In terms of get up and go, I don't know. I don't feel like it's better than my Iron 883, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I don't feel that safe on the highway with this little bike. Even though the bike is not that little, it feels little. But the lean's nice. In terms of comfort, it's no different than my Iron 883 in terms of wind resistance or anything like that, but I am less comfortable than my Iron 883 because I'm a bit more scrunched up. And because of the safety factor of the wobbles that I'm feeling on this bike, the fun factor kind of disappeared. I would almost say that this bike isn't that highway friendly. Yeah, this bike has a weird balance point, and I'm gonna get myself off the highway because I want to live after this. The controls is pretty similar to the Nightster 975. I'm almost gonna guess whoever designed the Nightster 975's overall look and feel of the handlebars probably borrowed the design and the look of the Streets. Now let's try attacking the highway again. I know I said I don't feel so safe on the highway, but maybe I didn't give it a good experience the first time round. So I'm already on 4th gear. What's beside me, behind me? We're good. Sorry, there's a lot of wind noise. You'll probably pick it up on the microphone. And this windshield is supposed to help me, but it's not really blocking much of the wind. In fact, it's creating this like weird vacuum on my chest that's causing my handlebar to wobble a bit. And I'm not a very big fan of that at all. I think if you take out the windshield, it'd probably have a little bit more balanced wind resistance. And never actually had this much wind noise in a bike before. Wonder why that is. Like, I can hide myself underneath the windshield, but I look fucking ridiculous. I can see why this bike was canceled. But nevertheless, it's actually kind of fun to putter around if you are not going on the highway very often, because it's a little daunting feeling on the highway with this bike. I think this is a cruiser meant for city roads, slower traffic, because it does turn really well. It's just the bike feels very loose. I think if a beginner rider was riding this and they don't know how to handle these type of situations, I think you'll be in more trouble, because the bike seems to have a lot of flaws. And I can see why this bike is the most hated Harley bike. I would almost say it's up there for my least favorite Harley that I have ridden. But it doesn't mean it wasn't fun. I actually had quite a bit of fun with it. In terms of the bike being able to find neutral, I don't know. I'm able to find the neutral pretty easily. Now, let's see. This guy wants to get in. Yeah, sure. Come on in. Go ahead. I'll block the road for you. Woo! Look at all the wires. So who would be the perfect rider for this motorcycle? I don't know. That's a tough one. I think if you are on a very strict budget and you must have a Harley-Davidson, you cannot find an evil Sportster, and this is the only thing that's around, then maybe. With that said, you're going to be able to ride this motorcycle, wear the Harley-Davidson emblem, and buy limitless of their Harley-Davidson clothing gear. And that might be enough for you to join the club and hopefully upgrade to many variations of Harley-Davidson motorcycles out there that will do the Harley-Davidson brand justice. In terms of this particular bike, I can see why it's not the most liked Harley-Davidson motorcycle, but this bike will do its part from getting you from point A to point B as you need it to be. It's still a fun little bike around town. I wouldn't recommend longer rides than that, because for my height, which is 5'10", I was cramping up my thighs from just a quick 30-minute ride. With that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this riding impression, and as always, ride safe, ride prepared, ride on. Peace.